Hello and welcome. I am James, the coffee educator here at Driftaway, and this is your chocolate and coffee pairing tasting class. We're going to be together for the next hour, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We got a lot of great chocolate and great coffees to taste. First off, I want to make sure that everybody has everything they need to get started. So, of course, if you received whole bean coffee, you want to make sure that each one of those packets of coffee labeled red, green, and purple, that you've found the right grind size, that medium grind size. There's a packet for you and some sample whole beans to kind of calibrate your grinder. Each coffee should be ground and then put into each cup. And if you received ground coffee, then you can just go ahead and throw it in there. And I'm going to spotlight this top down. There we go. This guy here for you so that you can see how you'd want it to be set up in speaker mode. There we go. Yes. So you should have ground coffee in each cup. And for your chocolates, this is how you want to lay them out. Chocolate 1, maple and nibs. Chocolate 2 is pink sea salt. Chocolate 3 is Bananas Foster. And if you don't want those names staring you in the face, you can absolutely turn them over so that you don't have to see the names of the chocolate, because of course, we know what the chocolates are, but that doesn't necessarily mean we know what they taste like. So going back to that slide there, we're going to make sure that our kettle or pot is filled with at least a liter of water. You don't have to start the kettles just yet, so I'll let you know when to start them. We want a kitchen towel or a napkin, 2 of your own mugs, and 2 soup spoons or teaspoons, and of course something to write with, because out of that box you should have your flavor wheel. Stop that there. Here we go. Your flavor wheel and your tasting form. Cool. There I am. Awesome. And there you are. So great. So we have this tasting form here and the flavor wheel. So I'll just chat a little bit about what we'll be doing to give everybody a chance to have time to set up. I can see all of you. Great. So, this is, as I said, a chocolate and coffee tasting, and this is a professional style chocolate tasting, a professional style coffee tasting, and then a pairing of both of them. So we're going to taste the chocolate, how the professional chocolatiers taste it. We're going to taste the coffee, how we at Driftaway and how coffee professionals will taste professionally. We call it cupping. It's a modified version of how we taste it at Driftaway. The pairings that we set up, and you can see the order that we set them up in for you. We tasted a lot of Rocca chocolates. We tasted a lot of different chocolates and, found that the Rocca was the best fit. I'll talk a little more about that in a sec. Tasted a lot of our coffees and spent some time trying to pair them. And they'll be really complementary. And what we wanted was to give you a kind of balanced taste experience. Cool. So without further ado, let me just go on over here. And as I said, right, we are Driftaway Coffee. Rocca is a small batch chocolate maker also in Brooklyn. And we chose to partner with Rocca because we just have very similar ethos in terms of being sustainability minded, and also we're both small batch coffee roaster, small batch chocolate maker. And what's actually interesting about Rocca is that they don't roast their cacao. They keep their cacao beans raw, and it's a pretty neat way of doing it in order to preserve the origin flavors of the cacao, and then as they make it into chocolate, of the chocolate. So the chocolate is going to taste a lot kind of more fruity, really, and have more flavors of origin that you might be used to. So it's going to be a really neat step too, to pair that with some single origin coffees. Awesome. So As I said, we're going to taste the chocolate first, kind of a little high level overview of what we'll be doing. As we go through, before we start, of course, ask any questions that you'd like along the way. The next thing we're doing, of course, is preparing and tasting the coffee. After we've tasted both things, we're then, of course, going to taste them both together, and that's when we do the pairing. So really, it's a pairing of both of them together. And the very last thing we'll do is to share our tasting notes with each other, and we'll talk about the origin of the coffee and the origin of the chocolate. Awesome. Wonderful. Any questions so far?
No, all sounds good.
Very exciting.
Great. Okay, cool. So if you would, it is now time to start your kettles. So if you would, go ahead and start your kettles. I'm going to start mine. Start your engines. Wonderful. As promised, we're about to taste some chocolate. So first off, you want to have your, you can feel free if it's in the way to kind of move the chocolate out of the way for now, because we're going to be concentrating on the coffee, or sorry, move the coffee out of the way for now, as I just barely demonstrated, because we're going to be concentrating on the coffee, or you can feel free to just kind of grab the chocolate over and leave it in front of you. So your tasting form, you can see that first area there is the chocolate tasting, and that's what we're going to dive right into. So the way we want to do it is, so we're going to start with Maple and Nibs, is chocolate number 1. You're gonna break off, and again, sorry, I should back up. I'm gonna explain the steps for doing it, and then we'll taste the first one together. So you'll break off a piece that's just about the size of your thumbnail, and what you want to do is just warm it in your hand between your fingers for about 15 seconds. You're basically wanting to bring it to your body temperature, right, about 100 degrees. Once you have held it in your hand for 15 seconds, then we're going to start trying to see what it smells like, which is what we call the aroma. So a good way to do it, couple of tips, is to take short sniffs, several short sniffs all in a row, rather than big long sniffs. So pretend you're like a dog or like a wild animal, like trying to figure something out. So with the chocolate right under your nose, just go and sniff, 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 sniff. Just like that. And then you can give yourself a moment with your pen to jot down anything that you think this chocolate smells like. When we're doing this kind of thing, if it's not jumping out at you, if you're not quite sure, you're saying to me, James, it smells like chocolate, that's great. And then as we go through, because this is a comparative, right, you might start to smell some differences as you go through, taste some differences. Once you've done the aroma, you're going to put it in your mouth and put it on your tongue. I should probably have started talking before I put it in my mouth. You're going to put it on your tongue, and you're going to press it to the top of your mouth. Press that chocolate to the top of your mouth so that it sticks to the top of your mouth, and then you're going to bite it in half every few seconds or so, and this is going to bring out more notes and flavors. So you can, kind of have it there, bite it, kind of think about what you're tasting, right? Right, it is.
How many seconds did you say that we should kind of hold it in our hand?
You want to hold it in your hands for 15 seconds.
15 seconds?
Yeah. Yep. And so once you've brought it down to your body temperature after 15 seconds, you'll be able to smell it a little better, and you'll definitely be able to taste it better. And whenever we do anything like this, whether it's a chocolate tasting or wine, right, coffee, you're just kind of trying to figure out what the chocolate is reminding you of, right? So it might be other food words, like maybe it reminds you of something fruity or something chocolatey or something like coffee, or maybe something on the flavor wheel, right? And so to access that, you're just kind of thinking of, okay, what does this remind me of? if there's kind of nothing jumping into your head at first when you first start smelling and tasting. And that's what this flavor wheel is here for. It's really just there to jog your memory in case you get stuck. So as you move on from that chocolate number 1, you can go right on to chocolate number 2 if you're ready, and then into chocolate number 3. The flavor wheel, the outer ring is the more general stuff. So basically, does this chocolate taste more fruity to you, or does it taste more roasty, right? Those are kind of the two extremes. And of course, we use this wheel for coffee as well, so we'll be using it a little later. As you move towards the center of the wheel, the words get more specific. So as you're tasting your chocolate and you're going through, you might say, okay, I'm pretty sure that I can taste some fruit in here. And you could ask yourself, is this more of like a citrus fruit? Is it really making my mouth water a lot, right? Because that would be something that is more towards the citrus or maybe tropical realm. Or does it taste more like kind of nutty, right? And so as you go using this, those aren't the only words that can be used to describe the chocolates and later the coffee. So feel free again to trust your gut. So I've got the second chocolate in my hand, and I'm warming it for 15 seconds. Yeah. If y'all haven't moved on to number 2, or maybe you sped through and now you're going back to 1 just to wait. Yeah. So we're going to have it in our hand for 15 seconds and then go ahead and put it on our tongues and press the chocolate to the roof of your mouth and then bite it every few seconds as you finish eating it, and then you can jot down what you've tasted. If you feel like you need to go back to 1, that's fine, or maybe you just really liked it. You want to have another piece of chocolate. I'm going to move on to the third chocolate here. And again, I'm going to hold it in it's a little bit big. I'm going to hold it in my hand for 15 seconds. Got a little timer here. Awesome. And then, yeah, this is really, all right, so now it's 15 seconds. I'm gonna smell it.
It really takes a while to start melting in your hand.
Yeah, do you feel like it's been, it's taken a little longer than the 15 count? Yeah.
For a little bit more.
It might
Probably
be.
cold these days.
That's true, yeah. Maybe if your room is a little colder, you might need to wait a little longer. That's a good point. And I think the good way to, obviously, right, if it feels cold at all or chilly, then you know that it's colder than your body temperature.
Mm.
Yeah. You might on the top down camera be getting a good sense of how I was as a kid in school. I never followed directions. I started filling out under the coffee tasting thing. So this is what it's all for you. I'm not going to be collecting your tasting forms. So however, whatever makes more sense to you, yeah. And then we're kind of wrap up the chocolate thing, so the chocolate portion. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting my tasting notes for this third chocolate, and then we will move on to the next step. All right. What kind of stuff, if you'd like to share, were you getting anything that really stuck out to you from any of the chocolates, or any kind of chocolates you liked better than others?
They're all really good, very different. once you start paying attention to each one of them slowly,
Mm.
I got like more of a nutty taste on the first one. Bit of a salty pop on the second one, but also a little bit more creamy. And then the third one had a little bit of a sweeter taste, more fruity.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was definitely a pretty fruity one. For sure. Yeah.
I felt like it progressively got better, easier. And I don't know if it's just because I got used to it while I was tasting it, or if it's the chocolates itself. But yeah, I feel like I got the most out of the third one.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun to eat chocolate this way, where you push it up against the mouth and keep breaking it, because you get more. It feels like you get more flavors come out as it becomes smaller and as it gets creamier.
Yeah, yeah. And part of it is, your taste buds being activated, and also some of that is going up into your nose, into your kind of retronasal, so that it also is helping you taste more things. Yeah. Well, very cool. Do you feel like you're ready to brew this coffee? The next stage.
Yeah,
Let me.
let's do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so you want to go ahead and grab your kettles, and I'm gonna grab mine.
I think it stopped boiling a few minutes back. Is that fine? Like,
we want it to be about 3 to 5 minutes off boil.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So if it boiled more than 5 minutes ago, you might want to pop it up a little bit in temperature, especially if you're watching the recording at home. Then you can press pause and pop it up. Was it more than 5 minutes, you think?
Yeah, I think it was less than that. So we're good to go.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So, all right. So this is the really simple way to make coffee to taste side by side. All we're going to do is pour hot water inside each one of these cups, and we'll start with the red, and we'll fill it all the way to the top. Ooh, I just got chocolate all over. And then we'll fill up green and then purple. So I'll just give you this top-down situation here, and I'll say 3, 2, 1, and pour. So if you have a gooseneck kettle like I do, with this kind of curved spout, you'll want to move the stream around just to get some more of that coffee wet more quickly.
And do we just fill it all the way to the top?
Yep, you're going all the way to the very top. Filling red all the way up, then green, then purple. Once you've filled the coffee up, go over to that mug on the left there and fill that with some hot water as well. Just that one mug, and that's going to be rinse water for your spoons. Now, it's very tempting when you have coffee and spoons and hot water to start stirring, but there's actually no stirring involved. We don't need to stir these cups at all. This is a really neat way to make coffee also that doesn't require a coffee maker or a coffee filter. So we're just going to let the coffees steep for 4 minutes, and then once they cool down a little bit, we'll be able to taste. But right now, we can get into our first kind of sense of the aroma of the coffee, right? And remember the way that I let you know how to sniff the chocolate? We're going to sniff the coffee in the same way. So short sniffs, several all in a row, rather than big inhales. Pretend you're like a dog or like a wild animal trying to figure something out. So with your nose bent over the cup, and this is my cup, you're just gonna just do those quick sniffs just like that. I picked mine up because that's empty, but you want to bend over and kind of put your nose all around the cup. So we'll do it. We'll give it, another minute or so because they do need to brew for another couple minutes. And then I'll let you know about the next stage. Yeah, and of course, let me know if you have any questions as you're going along and smelling the coffees, getting that aroma, and jotting down what you're smelling under the coffee tasting red, green, or purple, the aroma section. Yeah.
We don't do it yet, right? Not yet?
Sorry?
We don't smell the aroma yet?
No, yes, you want to smell the aroma, yeah, now.
Oh, now?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not doing it because it's far away from me. So that probably was confusing. Here we go. I'll put it closer to me. Yeah. So is that thing where you're just going to see the top of my head if I start doing it now? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, and if you're having a little trouble getting specific smells, that's okay. This isn't a test. This is, just to kind of learn more about how coffee can taste, how chocolate can taste, how they can taste together. So I can give you some hints too, a good rule of thumb also is to definitely smell back and forth between two of them, like red and purple, right? Red and green. And that is going to give you more of a contrast or a comparison. And also, when you first start doing this kind of thing, it is the smells are a little harder than the taste. So once we get tasting, it is going to get a lot easier. All right, so I'm gonna spotlight just this top-down camera here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue to get the aroma, to perceive the aroma, and right now I'm gonna demonstrate for you how we're gonna break each one of these crusts of grounds so that the coffee grounds fall to the bottom. And while we're doing that, you can have your nose over the cup and you're going to get kind of a more intense aroma. So the aroma you were just getting is kind of aroma light. And now you're going to get a more intense aroma. So I'm going to let you know how to do it. I'll just demonstrate first. So you're going to put your spoon just barely under the surface of that crust of grounds, just till you see some liquid there like that. And then you're going to push your spoon around in a circle. And I'm going to go around twice, just until I really am sure that all of it has been broken. And rinsing my spoon, maybe jotting down some notes before I forget, and then you can move right on to the next one. And as I said, I started in the middle because maybe you could see it better, but you can start with the first cup you poured water in. And as I said, you want to have your nose over the cup while you do that too. Kind of a fun, kind of more intense aromatic experience. Yeah. And coffee has over 1,000 different aromatic compounds, which, we can pick up on when we smell the coffee, but also while we're tasting the coffee too. Because your nose does a lot of the work when you're tasting stuff, just like with the chocolate. Wonderful.
How deep should the spoon go in?
You don't even have to submerge the whole spoon.
Okay.
So just until you see that liquid, and then you can start pushing around. Yeah. Good question. Awesome. So yeah, what did you get anything so far with the aroma that you want to share? Feel free to shout it out loud if you'd like to.
Yeah, I felt like the purple one had maybe like the strongest in terms of it was a bit smoky, almost a bit tarry to me, like road. It reminded me of road.
Ah, yeah.
And then I felt like I tasted like this middle one, the green one, was a bit nutty. Almonds, I felt. The first one was a bit harder. It was a bit lighter.
Yeah, that's definitely the mildest, I think. That was, a little rough. Yeah, to get a specific thing. But yeah, I wonder if that's going to change it all once we start tasting it. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? before we move on to the next step?
No, mostly agree. Purple was the most intense, and then the red was the least intense.
Yeah.
Sort of in between. Maybe that's in based on the design.
Ah, you mean the order we set them up?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good guess. Yes. Do you have any guesses as to why some might smell stronger or more strong at this point? Feel free, to ignore that question and say, okay, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just interesting that they were different. I
Mm,
wasn't expecting it because I feel like otherwise it's always been like coffee smells like coffee, and it's kind of interesting that they all did smell different.
yes, yeah. And what's really helping that is having more than one next to each other, because it's really rare that we have more than one coffee in front of us. So yeah, that basis of comparison really draws out new information. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, very cool. Even now you can keep it still smells like distinctly different. Very cool.
Oh, awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm ready to show you the next step, which we call skimming. We're just going to skim the foam off the top of these cups. So for this step, you need both of your mugs. So your mug with rinse water and your empty mug, both of your spoons, and yeah, the cups of coffee, obviously. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to start with this middle one here, just to, you can see a little better. So I'm going to put one spoon in back of the other, just like that. On the far, dip it just under the foam on the far side of the cup, not very deep. And then you'll just kind of scrape the spoons along the inner edge of the cup as you move them towards yourself, so they go away from each other and then back together. They cross over again when you're closer to yourself, and then you should have some foam there in your spoons, probably some coffee too. You can throw that in that empty mug, that cleaning mug, or the foam mug. And then you want to rinse your spoons off because they got some foam on them. So rinse off. And then you'll probably need to go back another time or so to get some more foam. You can see there's some foam here on mine that I'm going to try to get off. There's always a little bit of foam that hangs out around the edges, and you don't have to worry about getting all of that off. That can stay. There'll always be a little bit of foam around there, and it's not going to get in the way of tasting. Interestingly, the foam is made up of these tiny little bubbles of gas that came off the coffee grounds when we hit it with hot water. It's mostly carbon dioxide, and it's actually the most bitter part of the coffee. So, if it were, we can't really stir the coffee. We can't combine it to kind of balance it out. So otherwise the coffee grounds would all stir, would kind of start floating up to the top again. And then we'd just be chewing on coffee grounds when we try to drink coffee. So we get rid of it. But, if anybody would like to taste the foam they're taking off, in the name of science, test your hypothesis, feel free. So we have now cleaned off cups, and what we need is fresh rinse water. So you can either dump your rinse water out in a sink, or you can dump it into your foam mug, and then you'll want to refill it. So I'm going to dump mine into my foam mug here. And then I will refill. And then that's the last of the hot water that you'll need. And we're gonna go through. So okay, we're gonna start tasting once it cools down in a couple minutes. And I'm just going to there we go. So, we're going to taste these coffees with a spoon, which might be a little weird for you, which, it's very understandable. And just to demonstrate, I'll assume that, y'all have never slurped before, and I'll show you how we slurp coffee for this kind of coffee tasting. So first off, let me just testing for temperature. Whenever you do this, you do want to treat it like it's soup that you're not sure is too hot or not. And then just in case it would be sad to burn your tongue while you're trying to taste coffee. So we'll put a little bit of coffee in our spoon. There it is. Start out with a little less coffee. If you're not an everyday slurper, and you're less likely to choke and cough, and then you can move up to more when you get more comfortable. Hold the spoon sideways to your mouth, and then you tip the spoon towards your mouth and suck in real quick. So it should sound like this. It's really obnoxious and loud. Hold the coffee on your tongue for a few seconds before you drink it. Cool. Or you could also swish it around, kind of, gnash your teeth, whatever helps you kind of taste it a little better. And then, of course, you want to rinse your spoon in between each cup. So, of course, we're going to be looking at flavor right now. And so that's just, how does the coffee taste? What kind of stuff does the coffee remind you of? Very similar to the chocolate. And yeah, you can feel free to just trust your gut, jot down the first thing that comes into your head, use the flavor wheel if you find it helpful. And we are going to be tasting coffee now and also when we pair it with the chocolate. So it might be tempting to sip on a lot of coffee right now, but know that just for caffeination's sake, you are going to have some more coffee in a little bit as well. So usually I'll just take, a couple sips of each just to kind of get my, my bearings with the coffee, get my sense. So you don't have to take, more than 2 sips, but if you'd like to, you can. Wonderful. So let me just, this is good. So you should be good to go. But again, just kind of treat it like it's soup you're not sure is too hot in the first sip. And we'll, what I like to do is I'll try to taste through kind of one time real quick, kind of a quick sip of each. And that's going to lay down that basis of comparison for you with your taste buds and your nose. Because the reason why we slurp, and feel free to start slurping while I'm talking at you, but the reason why we slurp, there's 2 reasons. One is that we spray the coffee all over our mouth because we don't just have taste buds on our tongues, we have taste buds also in the back of our throat. So that allows the coffee to have more contact with more taste buds. So I hope that, even though I can't hear you right now, I hope you are slurping loudly and obnoxiously. The other reason why we slurp is because that quick intake of breath mixes the coffee with oxygen and gets it up into our nose as a gas, up into our retronasal cavity, also helping our nose out for the tasting part. So yeah, we'll just give y'all another minute or so, and we can talk about it as we're tasting too, if y'all have any opinions right out the gate about what you're tasting, or if you'd rather keep it to yourself for now, that's also great. Yeah.
Again, I feel like the tastes are also different. Each and every.
Yeah. Are the tastes lining up with the smells for you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. The green one, the middle one, is a bit more like the purple.
Gotcha. Yeah.
More similar to the purple than I had expected from the aroma.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, interesting.
The red one is distinct and completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, when during the aroma, I felt like the red and green were closer, but now they were more similar. And then it feels more like green and purple feel more similar to each other.
Yeah.
That's really neat how so much changes. Once we start to change the coffee by brewing it. Yeah. And when our taste buds get involved. Yeah. Do any of the coffees seem more bitter to you? More on the kind of toastier range?
Yeah, I feel like the purple feels the most bitter.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that same smokiness that I'm gonna like what's slurp right now, but yeah, I feel like a little bit like hints of that smell, that smoky tarry smell is coming through in the taste.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I do think that purple is kind of the least mild, I'll say, like the loudest. For sure. Yeah. So, maybe we've had enough coffee. I probably have. Cutting myself off. And it's now time to bring back the chocolate and kind of complete the circle now. And it's really neat because we're going to use our tasting form. So we've written down some chocolate, aroma and flavor, right? So we're just now, we've written down some chocolate flavors. We've written down some coffee flavors, right? So what we're going to do now when we pair them is, in terms of the tasting form, you're going to do, as you're tasting both together, look at the flavor columns of the chocolate and the coffee and circle the ones that you're still tasting. You might not be tasting all of those things that you tasted in chocolate and tasted in coffee once you combine them. So circle what you taste. And if anything jumps into your head that's new, that's what that third column is there for. So you can jot down any new flavors that might have come up when you do this. So, all right, y'all ready? Yeah, cool. Thumbs up. So of course, yeah, stop me if you have any questions. Of course, now,
remind me the order of the chocolates again, please?
Absolutely, yes. So we're going to start with the maple and nibs, and that we're going to taste with the red coffee.
Okay.
Then the pink sea salt is going to be with the green, and the bananas Foster is going to be with the purple.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. And I'll also remind you of, that whole warming chocolate thing, how we taste it, how we do it. So, we definitely do want to warm the chocolate. We're not doing the aroma now, but we want to warm it. And when you start biting it every few seconds, take a sip of coffee and swish them around together. So I'll show you so I'm going to hold it. And if you want to, everybody grab a piece, we can count together. Go. Okay. So in the 15 seconds, we're going to talk to you and say that once we start eating the chocolate, and also, I should have said this, you can take a little bit bigger piece of chocolate for this, or another piece, if when you taste the coffee, you're having a hard time tasting the chocolate. So you can go bigger than a thumbnail now if you feel, once you start doing it. So it's been 15 seconds, so you can go ahead and put it in your mouth, start chewing, and then you're gonna, we've all got that maple and nibs, you're gonna take a sip of the coffee and go ahead and slurp that in, and now mix it, swish it around, kind of mix it around, make a mocha in your mouth, right? Are you tasting them both together, right? You're tasting them kind of equally. That's great. If you're tasting too much chocolate, you can put a little more coffee, what have you. And then refer back to the tasting form, as I said, and you can go ahead and circle whatever you're still tasting. And we're going to do each one together, so no rush. So we'll do the maple and nibs and the red together right now. Cool. Have y'all circled anything yet? Anybody circle anything you're comfortable sharing with the class?
Yeah, I thought it's fantastic together. Combining the chocolate and the coffee just made it more juicy. Still got some like a winey taste, red wine taste, chocolate taste, obviously. Maybe that's what mocha is, like chocolate coffee mix. And then a little bit of fruitiness from the coffee.
Or the chocolate.
Or the
Yes.
chocolate, or the mix, one of them.
Yeah. Did you have fruit written down in both your coffee and your chocolate tasting notes separately?
I had berry on my chocolate. Maybe.
I did too, yeah.
I wrote it on the flavor of the coffee.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Cool. Very cool. Oh, that's neat. Um, yeah. How about anyone else? Get anything?
I felt like I also got a little bit of like toast.
Ah, yeah.
And it's weird. I think it's like when I was having when the coffee I had like light nuttiness, so like hazelnut, but and somehow I feel like that's morphed into like toastiness when it combined with the chocolate.
Very cool. I wrote down fruit explosion
Mm.
and nutty. So I think I'm calibrated with y'all. Yeah, yeah. And again, when we didn't just randomly choose these chocolates with these coffees, so we did really feel like this one was a very complementary pairing. Right, similar flavors in each go really well together. So now we're ready for the second one. If you haven't started yet, go ahead and grab yourself a piece of chocolate, warm it in your hand. And when you're ready, you can pop that in your mouth, chew it up a couple times, and take a sip of the green coffee. So again, we're doing the pink sea salt chocolate and the green coffee. What do you think?
I was gonna say, for sure, it's hard to slurp and eat chocolate.
That's real. I should say, yeah. The it might just want to. I started like gently spooning it into my mouth. That's a good point. Yeah, not. It's a kind of an advanced thing. Yeah, yeah. Um, with your especially with your mouth full of chocolate. Yeah. So, yeah. Did you circle anything yet on the flavor columns of the chocolate and coffee?
No, I got a new thing. I felt like it was very creamy.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
What did you think, Sug?
I had creamy on the chocolate.
Oh, really? On the chocolate separately?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
nice.
circled that. I thought it tasted like somewhere cross between like a peanut and chestnuts in the combined flavor.
Oh, very cool.
Really
Wow, chestnuts.
very different from the first pairing, which was much fruitier.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I could taste some of the smokiness of the green that I tasted in the coffee. Was like it was like coming through, but it was like combining with the chocolate somehow.
Yeah, yeah. And this may hit you as more of a contrasting pairing if you feel like, yeah, you're getting some stuff from the chocolate that's different from what you got in the coffee, right? And then they're balancing each other out in that way. I tasted more fruit in the chocolate this time. I think when I kind of had it in my mouth at first before I added the coffee, and then it kind of toned it down a little bit, and that was neat for me. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Chocolate number 3. If you're ready, you ready for more? This is our last one. So 15 seconds warming it up, starting now. Yeah, and once we've gotten through, we'll just you got it. And I think I'm ready. Let's do it. A gentle sip this time. Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
Man. What do y'all think? Or yeah.
really like it.
It feels like in this one, the chocolate takes over.
Mm.
Coffee kind of goes in the background.
Mm.
I'm gonna do one more.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like I first taste mostly the chocolate,
Yeah.
and it's really sweet. This is also, I felt like this was the sweetest chocolate.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I get hit by the smokiness of the coffee.
I think that's, yeah, why I said wow, because I was like they're so different, but I love how they are going together, like that kind of smoky, kind of bitterness, kind of tempering that like really sweet, fruity kind of thing. Yeah. All right. There's also, there's something about how the coffee feels or how the chocolate, yeah, something about what's going on together that makes it really feel like there's cream there, like there's like fruit and cream. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there because I don't taste it with them separately, but that's definitely a new thing for me. Um, yeah, anything surprise you about this one or any of them?
This was my favorite pairing, I feel. Like I really like, because I also think it was my favorite chocolate,
Mm.
but not my favorite coffee. But together,
Huh.
I really liked it.
Better together.
I like the first pairing the most. Very juicy together.
Yeah.
Maybe not as complimentary, but just well, like more similar taste, I guess. But
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That yeah, complementary pairing, I think we call it. Yeah, that they're both closer, they taste closer to each other. Yeah, but they'll reach balance
right.
in that way. Yeah, very cool. Awesome. All right, and now it is time for the big reveal. The big reveal of coffees and chocolates. So, what I would like you to do is to grab this box that came inside your coffee box and that says, please don't open till after the tasting. And it is time. It is after the tasting. So, if you would, please grab that box and go ahead and open it. Inside this box is 5 bags of coffee. Driftaway, we roast 5 coffees at a time. So we gave you all 5, even though we only paired 3 of them today. So you have those other 2 bags as well that you can try out later, make them, see how you like them in comparison. Also in this box are postcards. They're info postcards, 1 for each coffee. And so this is actually what I want you to take out now. This is going to have the coffee information for the red, green, and purple coffees. So all you need to do is take the postcards out and then just separate out red, green, and purple. And those are the 3 postcards that we're going to be looking at right now. You can put the other 2 away. Also, I'll show you, it's going to be on the bottom. It'll either be on one side or the other, probably on the right side, and it'll have the color there. Wonderful. All right, so go ahead and share my screen again. Great. So what's neat about coffee and cacao is that they grow in pretty similar areas of the world. They both grow in tropical climates. And when we paired them together, we were really trying to focus on a balance of flavors. So the coffee, this red coffee, is our balanced profile at Driftaway. And those, the kind of flavors that we want for the balanced profile are a little bit fruity and then a little bit of something heavier to balance that out. So sometimes that's caramel, sometimes that's chocolate, right? Depending on what coffee you have. Yeah, could be all different stuff. And the roast level is what we call light medium, more on the lighter side. It's a light roast. Lighter roasted coffee is going to have more of those fruity flavors. If you look at your tasting notes right now, on the front of your postcard, if you didn't taste those three things that are listed, there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you, right? We give you these tasting notes to give you kind of an idea of how the coffee is going to be and kind of, approximate, your experience. So if there's fruit listed ever on tasting notes, then you can know that it's going to be a lighter coffee, right? Probably might be a little juicy, especially for the citrus fruit or a tropical fruit, that kind of thing. But we definitely don't expect you to taste every single thing every time. Awesome. And then paired up with this wonderful chocolate, this maple and nibs. The cacao was grown in Uganda. And, the deal with cacao is that basically, the farmers sell their cacao after harvesting it and it's wet, and then they sell it to a company that will ferment it. So the company, Latitude Trade Company, that fermented this chocolate from Uganda, over 50% of their contracted farmers are women, and that's something that's really important to them, to buy as much as they can from women farmers. So over 1,002 growers, over 50% of that came from women. So, last thing I'll say about this, right, in terms of the flavor pairing, we have a kind of a fruitier, lighter roasted coffee that we thought went really well with this maple and nibs that has some heavier, kind of sweeter, deeper flavors. Cool. Next is the green. So if you would, go ahead and flip over to your green postcard, right? This is our bold profile. It is a medium dark roast. So, when we start roasting coffee darker, we're covering up any of those fruity floral things that we get from lighter roasts like red coffee, in exchange for some heavier, kind of deeper flavors, right? And so keep that in mind when we start talking about what the chocolate tasted like, right? And why we paired it. And same deal as the red coffee. If you didn't taste the three things that are listed on the front of the postcard, there's nothing wrong with you, but we did try to give you an approximation, right? Kind of, talking about what it could taste like, right? So in any case, should be heavier, kind of maybe stuff that maybe you think of as being bitter, right? More bitter for the chocolate. And then for the coffee, this chocolate from the Dominican Republic, the Duarte province, this pink sea salt, it was a pretty fruity coffee. And it was pretty neat to be able to pair up this fruity coffee with this heavier medium dark roast. The cool thing about this chocolate is it was grown on Reserva Zorcal, which is in a bird sanctuary. They ferment the cacao within a 1,000-acre plus bird sanctuary. So that's pretty cool. Wonderful. So I did talk a little bit about how we paired those flavors already, right? Chocolate being a little more fruity, coffee being a little heavier. Those dark roasted flavors, putting them together gives you a nice contrasting pairing balance. And moving on, last but not least, is the third pairing. So you got your purple coffee here, purple postcard, right? It should say extra bold on the front of that postcard. And same deal, you'll hear this in your sleep tonight. If you didn't taste those three things that we have listed as tasting notes, there's nothing wrong with you. So, think about maybe, if you got some similar stuff from us, you got some different stuff from us, we're both coming to the coffee from different experiences. So in general, though, this is our darkest roast. We call it extra bold, and it should be pretty smoky and on the more bitter side and heavier, right? So pairing that up again with a fruitier chocolate just made for a really neat combination, a really neat pairing. So this Bananas Foster chocolate is from Tanzania, grown in Tanzania, and the cacao was fermented at Cocoa Kamili. And so Cocoa Kamili is the organization that buys the wet cacao from these over 2,000 growers in that Morogoro region. And one cool fact about Cocoa Kamili is that they have really been transforming the market for cacao in that area of Tanzania and Tanzania in general, because of how high a price they're paying the farmers for the cacao. And they've been paying the highest price in the region since 2013, every year they were founded. So year after year, they're paying prices so high that other fermenting organizations have to start raising their prices as well. So pretty neat. Yeah, so the official tasting notes for the chocolate from Raka, of course, chocolate, earthy, and red fruits. Red fruit is a very common tasting note for chocolate from Tanzania as well. And of course, talking about unroasted chocolate as well, as Raka doesn't roast any of the chocolate. Wonderful. So again, we're talking about fruity flavors from the chocolate pairing really well with these really heavy, purple compared to green is even darker roasted, even heavier, really heavy coffee flavors. I think this went so good together. Wonderful. So yeah, take your time, right, to read over the postcards and everything, have it settle. But this has been your chocolate and coffee pairing. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me, for watching along. For quick cleanup tip, I like to mix up the coffee with a spoon and then pour it over like a sieve to keep those coffee grounds out of my drain. Feel free to reuse those glasses however you'd like. And yeah, you do get this code, Driftaway code. It's tasty to get 30% off your first paper shipment subscription for yourself. So if you go to driftaway.coffee, which is our website, you can plug that in, or look around a little bit, and yeah, use that code to get yourself something. Instagram, Driftaway Coffee. Instagram for Raka is Raka Chocolate. Awesome. Stay caffeinated, everybody. Take care.